or which is the biggest factor leading to this uncertainties for Pakistan going into the World Cup this time round?
So I think you mentioned Naseem Shah, which is a very important factor, but one critical factor which people are missing out is Jay Shah. So Jay Shah was the one who decided to have that reserve day for the
Teams
India
which has only
Pakistan.
one keeper.
They have
Because
so much confidence that we don't need a backup his keeper. Antics in every match also, right? I remember some of the commentators mentioning it on TV as well. You won't recollect a single match in which he is, after catching a ball or after letting a ball go, he doesn't start pressing his fingers and all that. Every match he
he's
starts,
doing this
yeah,
also.
yeah, as if he's just touched a rocket or something. Yeah, every match those antics are there. Suddenly he'll fall on the ground and hold his leg and all those things. I don't know how can an international cricketer have such things in
So many.
every match, right? Every match.
So
It's not one odd match. Every match.
so in Pakistan the जो news is he's a medical marvel because he ICU से निकल के खेला था in end. I think it's backs against the wall situation where expectations are very low right now. Baba's track record as a captain is very bad in terms of he's lost two Asia Cups, T20 World Cups. मतलब कहने के लिए वो सेमीफाइनल फाइनल तक पहुंच जाता है हर चीज के लिए, but there's no trophy to show in all these 2 3 years of captaincy. So this is going to be a big tournament for him and his captaincy
I'm
aspirations
expecting
in the
them to be
future. 2-0 by the time they come play India, so they can afford a loss. I don't think
Hmm.
they need to win, but it depends on the type of loss. The kind of loss they got in Asia Cup broke them, and mentally, I think this side is a bit fragile the way
Hmm.
they were. And comes from the captain. The captain also seems a bit fragile.
Hello all and welcome to a new video on the Third Man Musings. So now we are moving to video number 5 in our preview series. So far we have previewed 4 teams, and if you've not watched those videos, please go ahead and watch them, where we have covered England, New Zealand, South Africa and Australia. Today's video will be of arch rivals Pakistan, and Pakistan is a side having its own charisma and enigma, right? Mercurial at best. In the 90s, they were a very strong side, won the World Cup in 1992 as well. And even till a month back, I think everybody felt Pakistan had a very settled squad. They know their playing 11. This team, that too, considering it's a World Cup in India, they have the team for the conditions, and this everybody had put Pakistan in their top four teams for the semis. But now everything has changed. The side suddenly is not looking as potent as it was a month ago. Naseem Shah's injury has also been a major factor. So with this, there's still a lot of dilemma going into this World Cup. So we'll start the discussion on that note. And Sumit, my first question to you would be, what, or which is the biggest factor leading to this uncertainties for Pakistan going into the World Cup this time round?
So I think you mentioned Naseem Shah, which is a very important factor, but one critical factor which people are missing out is Jay Shah. So Jay Shah was the one who decided to have that reserve day for the India-Pakistan match, and no other match in Asia Cup had that, I think. So 2 दिन तक वो पिटते गए उनके bowlers, right? It started Rohit and Shubman, and next day Kohli खत्म कर दिया था काम. So that after that match, if you notice, Naseem fell, Haris Rauf fell, and the entire Asia Cup went for a toss. So yeah, kudos to Jay Shah, who was the man of the match for that particular match as per me. Because अगर वो draw पे खत्म हो जाता match like the first match, I don't think Pakistan. Because if you remember the first match where India was 66 for 4, we did a comeback, and I think we would have won that match because Pakistan typically doesn't chase so well, but we never got to see that. So they
Right.
were still in that whole positive mindset that okay, we did well, we had India at 6-4. But that match and the reserve day broke them into pieces. And on a serious note, yes, Naseem Shah is like he started when he was 16 in Australia. Now he's like 18 or 19. He's very potent. The way he, the back of the length ball, the swing from both sides. At his age, I mean, he's way ahead of his time compared to Afridi or Rauf. So a big miss. And partly the fault is Pakistan's team management, where they allowed this poor guy to play the Lankan Premier League, where he was bowling so fast, and that's an unnecessary league. He should have been rested, or he should have been. And the the shoulder injury started in the Lankan Premier League. They should have rested him for the Asia Cup then, but they wanted to play him in the Asia Cup also and win that for some reason. I think the World Cup should have been the bigger goal. So ultimately, he fell down after those 2 days, and now he's out of the World Cup. And potentially, maybe they have a tour to Australia at the end of the year. Maybe he misses that as well. So not great man management, and the only silver lining for Pakistan is they keep finding these fast bowlers from every nook and corner of the country. So as usual, they have backups. So they will not suffer like Indians do normally. हमारा एक बुमराह गया था, we kept searching
The
पूरा.
whole country was in shock.
Yes, so that is one place where they'll always be blessed. I believe they keep finding these reverse swinging tape ball bowlers, I guess. So uh, that's pretty much it. We can go over the squad now one by one, and then we discuss the ideal 11 like we've been doing. So starting with the batters, the top batter is obviously King Babar Azam, and too much king everybody does. And I have my views about him. I'll start with you. What do you think about him as a batter?
No, he's a talented batsman. I think he has very good technique, right? I mean, and both of us reminisce our childhood, right? Where Pakistan had a really good, batting order. You had Inzamam and you had Saeed Anwar and you had all these guys, right? But I think in the recent generation, Babar clearly is in a different league compared to the other batsmen. But what I still want to see from him is, I mean, if you're putting him in on a comparison scale with Kohli,
Kohli, yeah.
Kohli has had match-winning, impactful knocks against strong tournaments. I mean, against strong oppositions and in global tournaments, right? Whereas if you think about Babar, you will not remember as many knocks against strong oppositions. Plus, you hardly remember any knocks in global tournaments, right? More of bilateral series against weaker opposition. So this will be a good opportunity for him to prove his detractors to silence his detractors, including us, who we feel that he's not on par with Kohli. So that's a good chance for him. For me, I think a lot of the Pakistani batting will depend on Fakhar Zaman, right?
Hmm.
Because he's the one guy in that batting lineup who has the capacity to go after the bowling. Otherwise, everybody else that you see, whether it be Babar or whether it be Abdullah Shafiq or Rizwan or Iftikhar to some extent as well, both all of these guys, go at run a ball, and then once they get set after a long time, they go after the bowling. Whereas
Hmm.
Fakhar Zaman can go from ball one. We remember his double hundred in ODIs. We remember his 194 against South Africa. Brilliant innings, right? Where he toyed with the South African bowling in South African conditions. But he's coming off a poor, run of form. So
Uniform.
it will be interesting to see if they back him or they back Abdullah Shafi.
Yeah. And then you forgot that innings of Champions Trophy final, by the way.
Yeah, who can forget that? Yeah, he was the one who beat India
I,
as
th-
well.
I
Yeah,
think that's how I remember him forever. I think that was a very
yeah.
shocking result and innings that day. What happened? So Imam ul Haq is the other opener, and Inzaman Khan. Khani, sorry, Ul Haq. Got confused. Inzaman ul Haq's nephew, who's there and plays nothing like his uncle. So
Yeah.
so it doesn't have that touch grace. I mean, they call him the Highway King there because his record in Pakistan is stupendous, but so does other batsmen also. So he also has a very good chance to prove his mettle in alien conditions and a bit testing conditions, global tournament. So that'll make up the top three, and then they have the backups in terms of they have Abdullah Shafiq, drafted him from. The test squad, and he scored a nice 50 recently in the Asia Cup. So they call him the wall. Again, nothing like the wall. That wall has too many cracks. He doesn't have such a great defense as they make it out to be, because when the ball starts swinging, he will. So he's a wall in Pakistani tracks, right, where there's flat and straight, but when it starts swinging, the wall will break. So he's a backup they have, and decent first class record. I think one person I would like to talk about is Saud Shakil. Uh, 28 years old, one of those talents who get a late chance. And he got his chance in test matches against England and New Zealand, hit a double century and saved them one match, won them a match. So he averages currently at 87. Never got a chance in ODIs. I mean, earlier he got some 3-4 games, but he never got a due run. And this guy is a proper middle order batter, which and a left-hander. So very elegant, classic, and a very good player of spin. So very ideal candidate for your middle order. But Pakistan has other ideas about middle order, which we'll discuss in the team 11. So the batting rounds up there. Next we go to the keeper, and here it is one of the few teams which has only one keeper
They have
because
so much confidence that we don't need a backup keeper.
he's one man team, so he's your middle order batter, he's your opener, he's your keeper, he's your DRS reviewer, everything this guy does. So this is Mohammad Rizwan for people who haven't followed him, because I started following him recently, like past 1.5 years or something. And my god, I mean, let's start at basics. Do you like him as a batter or a keeper?
I feel he's pretty limited in all departments, right? If you see his batting, everything wherever the ball pitches, he tries to hit it towards square leg, right? Deep square leg is his main scoring areas, and I think both of us, have this banter that if anybody wants to continue scoring, just keep on bowling wide outside off
Outside.
stump, right? And this guy sorted, and his antics in every match also, right? I remember some of the commentators mentioning it on TV as well. You won't recollect a single match in which he is, after catching a ball or after letting a ball go, he doesn't start pressing his fingers and all that. Every match he
He's
starts,
doing this
yeah,
also.
yeah, yeah, as if he's just touched a rocket or something. Yeah, every match those antics are there. Suddenly he'll fall on the ground and hold his leg and all those things. So, I don't know how can an international cricketer have such things in
So many.
every match, right? Every match.
So
It's not one odd match. Every match.
so in Pakistan the जो news is he's a medical marvel because ये ICU से निकल के खेला था. He went out there.
Yeah.
So he's like he's full on. So the reason I love this guy is he's full on entertainment. So
Yeah,
traditionally, 50 over matches are a bit boring, also, right? We admit to
correct,
that. You just
correct.
watch this guy. It's so
Yeah,
entertaining. No,
yeah.
ball like every time this he'll fall, and sometimes he'll dive in front of the slip fielder also to take a catch. And not take. So
Yeah,
so his keeping is horrible, and his batting is worse. Because again, leg ka lapado they say, right? बस leg पे ही मारना होता है, offside पे आता ही नहीं कुछ. But this guy has some clout, which is very obvious. I mean, no,
hmm.
I mean, we do not have our sources or something, but you read about things, you see how things work. Such a player at number four, you compare the other number fours all across the World Cup. This guy is nowhere to be seen. I mean, in terms of quality. So doesn't score fast. He doesn't like not a great player of spin, and you know he doesn't make it in the 11 also for me, but because they wanted him in the 11, they kept him only, no reserve keeper. So he has to play unless he gets injured, which he will, by the way, but he'll still play because he's a medical marvel. So he will continue playing
Yeah,
the entire World Cup. So this is going to be a very critical World Cup for him, because all his antics, everything is there out in the open.
correct.
If he
And
doesn't
you
perform,
can't forget that also. No, in a press conference, he said, "I don't want to bat at 5," and next game he bats at 4.
four, and he's been
So
at number
yeah,
four since then. So
yeah.
clearly, he has a lot of backing and some power here. Maybe more power than Babar, for all you know, the way he runs the team from behind. Because DRS भी यही लेता है, and he doesn't know
Correct.
how to take those. So
Every,
reviews
I
bad.
mean, the review is so bad. There is no chance of the batsman being out. Also, still he reviews, right? So
And,
yeah,
and the funniest thing was MCG World Cup में जब stumps पे ball लगी थी, no ball की, and Kohli
correct.
ran right. This guy didn't run after the ball. He started fighting with the umpire. भागना नहीं है भाग
Yeah,
कैसे सकते हैं लोग स्टंप पे बॉल लगी
correct.
उसको रूल भी नहीं पता थे सो
Correct.
that's where this guy is so he's very exposed I think
Hmm.
he really escapes a lot of criticism for all the things we see
Correct.
so this
But
should
maybe
be his
that 85 in the match against Sri Lanka will give him some breathing space, I think, right?
अरे वो भी
Um,
गीली
yeah.
विकेट थी स्ट्रेट था उसने तो उसमें भी एक्सलेट नहीं किया था इफ्तिकार वाज ओनली हिटिंग एट द एंड वो आउट हुआ उसके बाद रन नहीं बने थे सो
Hmm.
अगेन वन ऑफ दोस इनिंग्स वेयर ही हैज द नंबर्स बट it led to them losing the match so that was a
Correct.
very good pitch to bat by the way they should have scored 20-30 more I think so this guy is going to have an acid test this World Cup. I think I don't think he's going to do well against the strong teams. Minnows mar dega as
Hmm.
usual because that's what they do.
Hmm.
But let's see if they can take a call on him after this World Cup. I don't think because again he will go to Australia also and then we'll see him perform in Australia, which should be another fun series. So let's see. So coming to the all-rounders, and this is where Pakistan has a bit of depth. I think good all-rounders all through. Shadab Khan is experienced pro, shockingly 25 years, which still I don't believe because I've seen him since ages. So he's 25 and a
Hmm.
very good batter, bowler, and vice captain. अभी नहीं
Hmm.
है. If you notice now, vice captain उसका हटा दिया नाम. So something is brewing there as well. But his innings against South Africa in the T20 World Cup with Iftikhar, which resurrected the World Cup, otherwise they were out that day.
Yeah.
So one of those critical key players experienced there. How about Iftikhar Ahmed? Whatever you've seen of him, do you know how old he is?
Actually,
Let's ask that question.
yeah, I just saw a stat sometime back. He's younger than both of us, right? And that is surprising. So if he's called Chachu, I don't know what both of us will be called. But yeah, but he's younger than us. He's 33. But I think to be very honest, amongst the recent crop of Pakistani players apart from their pace attack. Their pace attack is superb, right? I think we have to hand them that. But the from the batting, I think this guy's really impressed me, right? I think in the T20 World Cup last year also, he was the guy who resurrected the innings after Babar and Rizwan and all these guys
In
had
India also.
fallen
Mm-hmm.
early. Plus, even in the Asia Cup also, he did well, right? He was the one who gave that momentum in the Sri Lanka game. So this is a really impressive guy. Sort of reminds me of Misbah in his batting style, but plays very well. Is good compact against pace and can go after spinners also. So if Pakistan need to have a good World Cup in terms of batting, I see this guy as the central figure who has to hold the innings together in that middle order, and very
Yeah.
handy with his off spin as well, of course.
Yes. Yeah, yeah, that's a very underrated skill he has. The irony is this guy is going to be sent at 6 or 7. So I don't know how he's going to handle things from the middle order. He doesn't get a chance, and they made him a slogger. Although he has like the maximum power amongst these batsmen in terms of
Hmm.
clearing 100-meter sixes. I think this is that guy for you. So he needs to get that opportunity, which I don't know if he gets in this team because Babar is one play only 200 balls out of 300, तो मिलती नहीं किसी को कुछ खेलने के लिए. So they have to use him very smartly because he is a gem of a cricketer. They have two more all-rounders, Salman Ali Aga, who just came up from the test matches to ODIs. We'll discuss about him in the playing 11 more because that's where the questions are. And Mohammad Nawaz, who's their match winner, who hasn't won them a match in my
Yeah.
eyes till date in the last 1.5 years. So very decent, like again, they're Ravindra Jadeja, but just a worse batter and worse bowler and worse fielder. So,
Yeah.
so I you like him? I mean, whatever scene, he seems pretty normal. I mean, nothing
Uh, yeah,
excites me.
I just recollect his one knock in last year's Asia Cup, right? He hit 42 of 20 balls against India.
Uh,
So, I mean, he's a good pinch hitter sort of batsman, but his bowling hasn't impressed me so far, right? Whether it be last year's Asia Cup, I remember Pandya hit him for a six in the last over. Last year's T20 World Cup, we remember Kohli and Ashwin, won that
that wicket.
game for India in the last over. Plus, even in the recent Asia Cup, I mean, once India were 66 for 4, he and Shadab could have really turned on the screws,
Mm,
right? But I think both of them let India consolidate, thankfully for us. So, I mean, they'll have to take a call that if they're playing two spinners in Indian conditions, will you back Nawaz more for his batting skills or will you bring in a better spinner? So
mm.
that will be a call they'll have to take.
Yeah. So better spinners. So I'll jump to the bowlers. They have a backup spinner in terms of Usama Mir, largely untested, not that much experience, but he's a leg spinner. So again, a leg spinner is always handy in Indian conditions because he'll give you those wicket taking option. So that is the backup I see for Nawaz in case he misses
Hmm.
out in terms of bowling. And then there are the four paces. So they don't have Naseem, and so it's going to be Afridi and Rauf as the primary ones. And now Mohammad Wasim Jr. comes as the backup, who will be the third pacer. The fun part was the last guy who came into the squad just right now is Hassan Ali.
Yeah.
So not seen since ages. I don't know when I last saw him play. Also, he's
Was
also
it
I know.
that infamous match in which he, dropped the cup for Pakistan, the
Hmm.
T20 World Cup
T20 खेला था
2021 semi-final, right, against
ऑस्ट्रेलिया
Australia?
वाला वो
Yeah,
वेट
that
स्टोइनिस
was the
वाला
last
हाँ
match, I think,
हाँ
right?
हाँ हाँ
Yeah,
करेक्ट करेक्ट करेक्ट
yeah,
आई
yeah.
रिमेम्बर दैट कैच आल्सो हाँ हाँ हाँ, ठीक है वही
Correct,
होगा फिर
correct,
क्योंकि उसके बाद आई हैवंट
correct.
सीन हिम बट
Hmm,
ये so he goes to England plays against kids and takes their wickets and has a
correct.
very good average. That's how he maintains his fitness and record. So clearly again
Hmm,
some favoritism something because
yeah,
they had earmarked Shahnawaz Dhani for the pace slot and he was very decent in the Asia Cup I remember
yeah. I
good pace
remember. Yeah, he was very good.
good
Yeah,
pace and handy like slogger also. So
correct.
they draft this guy in randomly.
Forget in the 15, Shahnawaz is not even in the reserves, right?
18.
I mean, how can a guy fall so much out of favor that forget the 11, forget the 15, he's not even in the 18, right? And you remember, poor guy, even in the Asia Cup, he was brought in as a replacement, reached on the morning of the Sri Lanka
हाँ हाँ
game.
हाँ हाँ
They
जमान खान
got
पहले मैच
knocked
खेला
out, and that same day he took a flight back to
या
Pakistan. So, I mean, there's
हाँ
something
वो
clearly going on behind the scenes, right?
या वो जमान खान को पहले चला गया था मैसेज कि भाई तुम रिप्लेसमेंट हो तुम आ जाओ तो जमान खान फ्लू पहले एंड ही प्लेड द मैच इसको बाद में बताया पहुंचा ही बेचारा जब तो मैच खत्म हो गया था एंड पाकिस्तान obviously didn't qualify not like he would have played in the final I don't think अगर जमान बचा रहता श्रीलंका मैच in the last over he was going to play
Correct,
always so yeah the bowling is a bit not as great as it was seeming that time now there
correct.
are chinks in the armor So coming to the playing 11, so top three, Fakar, Imam, and Babar. That's going to be your top three. Number four is going to be our legendary wicketkeeper batsman, DRS Tavio, Rizwan. Five is Salman Ali Aga, as what we saw in the Asia Cup. And six, seven will be a swap between Iftikhar and Shadab. So that makes a top seven. So in the middle order, now, what do you see in the number five slot? I think South Shakil should be tried definitely because Aga, whatever I saw, did not show me anything that Shakil doesn't have.
Yeah, seriously, he wasn't that impressive. And you remember that game also, right? He tried sweeping a ball of Jadeja, and the ball went and struck his face also. So, didn't look great. Even his off spin didn't impress me, right? In that game, I think he only bowled in the game against Nepal, and Baba didn't have confidence to bowl him against India or Sri Lanka as well.
Yeah.
So, I feel he needs to be replaced, and Saud Shakil should come in. And I would actually want Iftikhar to bat at 5, right? Because as you said, if he comes in at 6 and Pakistan are, let's say, on a given day,
Mm,
70 for 4, from there, how much can he do to resurrect the innings from there, right? So
mhm.
he ideally he should play there, but we both know I think he'll bat at 6 only. Iftikhar will bat at 6, but Saud should come at 5. And it will be interesting to see how much they'll back Fakar, right? Because last 10 or 12 games he's not done much. Let's say the first two games he fails, will they still back him that no, he's our match winner, or will Abdullah Shafiq start coming in early in the tournament? So that is also something I think we'll have to keep an eye on.
Yeah. So yeah, and 6, 7. I think Shadab will get a promotion. I think Iftikhar will be the designated finisher. So
Correct.
reverse actually, he should be seven. So number five, they should go for Shakil. But I'm sure they'll start with Aga and
Hmm.
his all-round skills, which they claim about, which I haven't
All
seen.
round skills.
All round वो टीम दोस्ती यारी वाली स्किल मुझे लगता है और कुछ नहीं है. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I still think they are going to. So this is like something they have been doing for the past 2 years, playing the same team, same set of players because of their, you know, good relationships and all that. So this is the acid test, and this axis of 3-4 with Baba Rizwan is going to define their World Cup because both are going to take their time. Both will play slow. Both will eat a lot of balls. Now it's about if they eat the balls and win the match, then it's fine. But when they just play, get their runs, get the averages up, and then they just get out and leave it to the for the rest of the team to finish, that's when the problems will start for this team. So I still don't think Rizwan at four makes sense. Anyways, he should play at seven directly. But the poor guy doesn't have a slog also. पता है वो मार भी नहीं पाएगा. So where do you play him? I think
Correct.
a very cool idea coming out is फकर जब इंजर मतलब ड्रॉप कर देंगे if he's not playing well, रिजवान ओपनिंग करने जाएगा फिर he'll be the Gilchrist right handed. So वो start देगा वहां से and then they'll get Saud Shakir in the middle. So
Yeah.
my god, I would love to see that. Then okay, Pakistan
It
batting
can
bombs.
happen. No? We are laughing at the moment. It
Yeah,
can
yeah, yeah.
happen, but
Oh
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Full on, I think they will
Yeah.
prefer. रिजवान बोलेगा मुझे ओपनिंग भेज दो, मैं कर लूंगा. So
Mm.
that's there. And the bowling then, Nawaz at eight because of yeah the batting bowling approach, and then you have the three paces of Afridi Rauf and Naseem Junior, Wasim Junior.
Wasim Jr.
Yeah. So no real. So in case one of them gets injured, so that's my prediction, which is a bit
Mm.
negative. But Haris Rauf hasn't played a lot of listed cricket. He is a very primarily T20 sort of bowler, not that much fitness, and you can see that if he bowls continuously long spells, he gets an injury. That happened when he played a Test match in Pakistan against New Zealand, I believe, and this happened again in the Asia Cup when he was bowling 10 overs. So there is a track record of a very injury-prone figure in this bowling attack. And even Shaheen Shah Afridi is not that fit. You can see that sometimes pace drops dramatically in the second spell. First spell, obviously, he is a legend in that sense. The ball swings, he is a killer that ways. So, you see any other option? I mean, they haven't left themselves with option. As I see the
Mm.
squad, they don't have
Correct.
anybody only who to get as a pacer. तीनों
Correct.
के बाद.
I think we are clear, right? Harris Roth will definitely not play all 9 league games because
Hmm.
otherwise, even he'll be out of the tournament midway, right? I mean, fantastic bowler. And I think both of us, and not only us, all cricket fans would agree that if Pakistan has to have some sort of a chance to make it big in this tournament, it has to be on the back of their bowling, right? Shaheen and Haris can't afford to have average tournaments. Both need to have great tournaments, right? And backed up by spin, of course. Wasim Jr., whatever I've seen of him so far, is impressive. He's impressive. I think
Yeah.
he has the pace. He has a good line and length also. So let's see how much they back him. But I see Hassan Ali playing a few games. Because obviously Haris can't play all, so he'll be in at some point. But in the recent past, at least, I haven't seen anything great that he's done. But here again is a chance for him as well to prove detractors wrong, right? Another interesting thing, after a long time, Pakistan don't seem to have a threatening spinner in their squad this time,
Mm,
right?
mm,
Otherwise, you always remember in the 90s they had Mustaq Ahmed, they had Saklan Mustaq. In the 99 World Cup, he took a hat trick also, we
mm,
remember that, right? And they had Shahid Afridi in the 2011 World Cup, they had Saeed Ajmal as well. This is the first time they're going in with two spinners who won't run through oppositions
Understood.
honestly, right? Shadab or Nawaz. So maybe time for Osama Mir to be backed
Yeah,
in
yeah,
certain games, maybe games against Australia or England, let's say, right?
yeah, yeah. Depending, they are going to play on some slow pitches, right? So they have to try him out because he's definitely more threatening than Nawaz. I've seen whatever little I've seen because he will give you that option. So Shadab will not be obviously touched because he's a very good batter. So I will always
Hmm.
consider him a batting all rounder rather than a bowling all rounder, and then he adds that value to the team. So the lack of spin is going to haunt them, and they're depending too much on the paces for this World Cup, out of which they are injury prone. So that's the risk. One good thing I see in the Pakistan bowlers is everybody bats a bit.
Hmm.
Contrary to other teams, you can see Shine is a very decent batter. Haris is a slogger, and Wasim Junior actually comes under all rounder, uh, like Pakistan term all rounder, not proper all rounder, but all rounder. He will give you
Yeah.
like decent runs. And Nawaz obviously is a more a batter than a bowler. So they have depth in batting. I think they
Hmm.
need to be very smart how they use the 11 in terms of scoring runs. Because if Pakistan का major issue is they don't score big runs against good teams.
Hmm.
Small minnows again they struggle, right? Zimbabwe का जो chase था T20 World Cup में they made a mess of 130. So they are not a team which makes 350, 380 runs. They make
Hmm.
300. That's more than enough for their bowling unit.
Bowlers. Yeah.
But even for 300, they have to struggle a lot because the batters don't play at that tempo.
Hmm.
So it's going to be interesting if they change their approach to more aggressive approach, or will they continue to bank on the bowlers to always save them? Because this time they do not have that bowling to save them as compared to
Correct.
some months back. So what do you think in terms of chances for them? Top four?
So, I mean, okay, this is $1 million question, right? Because one is Pakistan is a mercurial side, right? One day on top of the world, one day they suddenly go to the bottom. And they always, they are like cornered tigers. They always perform their best when their backs are against the wall. But this time, somehow, I feel, I know it's a World Cup in the subcontinent in India, Pakistan has that style of play, but somehow I think the way things have panned out over the last 1 month, right? I somehow feel they've lost their momentum, right?
Mm,
And somehow, no matter how many match winners they have in their 11, I just feel the loss of Naseem was too big a one for them to recover from that, right? Because now teams know you have to play out Shaheen in the new with the new ball and Harris in the middle overs, and then in the death overs you can go after this bowling. The spin attack is also not threatening, so it's not like you will
mm,
lose heaps of wickets in the middle overs. And the batting also, apart from Fakar Zaman and maybe Iftikhar to some extent, there's nobody who will. Let's say you have scored 350. There's nobody
mm.
who will mount a serious attack against that
Yeah, yeah.
350. So I'll take a brave call. I think Pakistan will not make it to the semis this time.
For me, I think it's backs against the wall situation where expectations are very low right now. Babar's track record as a captain is very bad in terms of he's lost two Asia Cups, T20 World Cups. मतलब कहने के लिए वो semi-final final तक पहुंच जाता है हर चीज के लिए, but there's no trophy to show in all these 2 3 years of captaincy. So this is going to be a big tournament for him and his captaincy aspirations in the future. Although I think he's too big a figure to really. I mean,
Hmm.
अगर बाबर captaincy से हटेगा तो रिजवान बनेगा. That's the problem. So I think they rather stick with Babar. But he's not a very good captain. You can clearly see with the decision making how he lets go of the initiative. Like 66 for 4 से भी वो 260 पहुंच गए and he loses control. His bowlers are magical, they work, but when his bowlers need help, he's not the guy to provide that help like Sarfraz used to do at his time. So
Correct.
that's one major gap I see for them. The defining point for them in this tournament, as I see their matches lined out, so they start with the two qualifiers. So that's a nice
Hmm.
way to start the tournament in Hyderabad, which is going to be nice pitch for them in a way. So they start with Netherlands and Sri Lanka, but that's after that they have a stretch of four matches, which is going to determine the tournament, I think. So they start with India at Ahmedabad. And I think that match will set the tone for them because I'm expecting them to be 2-0 by the time they come play India. So they can afford a loss. I don't think
Hmm.
they need to win, but it depends on the type of loss. The kind of loss they got in Asia Cup broke them. And mentally, I think this side is a bit fragile, the way
Hmm.
they were. And comes from the captain. The captain also seems a bit fragile to me. So they lose against India badly. Then they have Australia in Bangalore. So that's a 350, 400 wicket, which is going to really test them out. And then comes the Ashes 3.0. So there's Ashes, there's Australia, England. Ashes 2.0 is Pakistan, Zimbabwe. Sadly, Zimbabwe didn't make it in this World Cup. So there's Ashes 3.0, which is Pakistan and Afghanistan. So they
The two in
always
Chennai, right?
Chennai. So that's where this gets fun for me because I remember discussing with you, right? That Noor Ahmed wasn't played, and I think Noor Ahmed is being prepared for this moment where they will launch him against Pakistan in Chennai, and they're going to try to upset Pakistan that day. So that match should be pretty good because somehow Pakistan Afghanistan matches become cliffhangers, and end में Naseem बचाता है उनको. Like two matches, though
Correct.
he saved right at the end.
Correct.
So clearly,
And the
Pakistan.
spectators from both sides also start landing blows on each other, and also.
So it's genuinely ashes, man. Literally, people burn. So I'm like, so somehow Pakistan has this weird ability कि जितनी भी खराब साइड सामने होगी ना हम अपना लेवल भी उतना गिरा देंगे और हम उतना ही खराब खेलेंगे ताकि competitive बन जाए and then they win and then it seems हम बड़े close match जीते. Ideally their level should have been way higher and they should thrash these teams, but somehow they get this weird thing of playing at subpar level and then winning against the odds. So Afghanistan again same issue आने वाला है. And
Hmm.
that match is what I'm looking for. Because after India and Pakistan, I think that is my match of the tournament where it's going to be a lot of fun. Because Afghanistan will launch four spinners, I think.
Hmm.
ये Nabi, Rashid, Noor and Mujib. And इनके पास स्पिनर ही नहीं है तो ये पता नहीं क्या करने वाले हैं. तो
Imagine
I'm
40 overs of spin. Imagine, right? Oh my
I hope
god.
I
Yeah.
hope it is a Chennai wicket. I hope
Yeah.
just for fun purpose, for once I hope it is not a batting wicket. I wanted a spin like Dhoni type की wicket. बहुत
Correct.
मजा आएगा उस मैच में because they'll really struggle. And then they have South Africa also in Chennai where again they
Hmm.
will be better placed than Afghanistan obviously. So these stretch of four matches now will determine the tournament. उसके बाद they get a breather in Bangladesh and end with New Zealand, England.
Correct.
But by then I think they'll be done. I mean those four matches में even if they manage it 2-2, assuming they win the first two also, then 4-2 में they are in a good position.
Correct.
But in four में से they lose three, and four में तो वैसे भी I think they'll be out because
Hmm.
mentally also they'll be done by then. तो ये India Pakistan का match I think is very critical for them from a mental standpoint more than a win loss standpoint. They need to be competitive so that they think that okay they can compete.
Correct.
So very it'll be fun to watch this side for all the reasons we mentioned. The TRP kings they have, and people have to prove their metal, and just a lot of fun in general. And the playing 11 will be a lot of fun also. You see,
Correct.
once they start losing, they're going to just break things around. लेकिन बाबर is 1-3-4 पे होंगे वो फिक्स रहेंगे. They'll start pushing everybody else, even though these two might not be scoring.
Yeah,
So
very unpredictable team, right? I mean, you never know which Pakistan will turn up on the day of the match. They can even beat a top team like, let's say, Australia, England, New Zealand, South Africa, and may still lose to Sri Lanka or Bangladesh,
mm,
right? So you
so
can't, or
they
Afghanistan as well.
they are
So
mercurial, but I'll be honest, they have been consistently bad only since 2 years against the big teams in big
correct,
tournaments. Barring the South Africa match, I don't
correct.
remember them
And
reach.
that tournament also, you remember,
No,
Netherlands handed them a
yeah,
lifeline, right?
exactly.
Netherlands beat South Africa, that's why they qualified. Otherwise,
And
yeah,
so that was then not so good anymore against the good sides because the level of the standard has dipped. I mean, on a serious note, because whoever comes to play to Pakistan sends the BC teams or D teams also, so that's not real competition. And then
correct.
when they keep playing Netherlands, Zimbabwe. अभी कह रहे हैं हम नेपाल भी आने वाला है because यार नेपाल is like हम भी खेलेंगे आपके साथ तो नेपाल is going to come to Pakistan after the series. बात चल रही है 5 मैच
Really?
सीरीज है.
Or is
Yeah,
that a
I'm
okay?
hoping it's a joke because
Okay.
see वर्ल्ड कप से जब निकलेंगे तो
Okay.
फ्री हो जाएंगे ना तो कुछ होना चाहिए निकले तो फिर नेपाल को बुला लेंगे तुम आ जाओ विल प्ले विद यू. बाबर स्कोर 150 against them if you remember.
Yeah.
Babar has an average of 151 against Nepal. That's it. One match he has. So that's what they were all.
Mm.
basking in his glory, right? 150 बना दिए, and उसका पूरा एशिया कप he did check.
He didn't do
Yeah,
anything. Yeah.
yeah. So they need to step up against the big team, and this is their test. I mean, all these years of playing the same people against the weaker teams, and they were number one. Do you know that, right? They were
Mm,
number
yeah,
one
yeah.
ODI team sometime back,
Correct.
and
Just now India dethroned
displays
them,
them.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
how was this team number one when they didn't play against any big team? Because they keep calling these random teams in Pakistan and beating them. So they were never the deserved number one. And if they win the World Cup somehow, somewhere, then
Mm,
I would still be okay with the fact that they are the number one team. But yeah, this that's why I want to look forward. Really, this World Cup will expose them or challenge them and show this potential which we haven't seen in these 2 3 years. So yeah.
correct. Correct. So that will be very interesting to see.
Mm.
Okay, folks. So that was our preview video number 5. So now we are done with the previews of 5 teams, which leaves us with our final team, which is India, our home team. So that will be we have left the best for the last, and we'll wrap up with that. And so far, it's been great. I think both of us have had a great time. Doing all these previews, and we hope you have been enjoying these videos that we have released, and hope you are finding it entertaining as well as insightful. So please do continue to like, share, subscribe, and comment. And please do look forward to a final video on India, where we'll have lot more to talk. And let's see what are the talking points which come from that video. So on that note, take care and stay safe, folks. Bye bye.
Thank you.